you one other thing, Randy, that you might find of interest, and that is our K-12 funding plan. Now, let me just go through this one time. Our goal is that if you have greater wealth in your district, property and income, then we think your capacity to do things locally, where if you raise a levy, you get to keep 100% of it rather than coming down here and fighting for nickels and dimes, is the right process. So if you have greater wealth as measured by property and by income, then, and by the way, you may even be shrinking students, if we think you have a greater capacity to do things, and therefore we think the state doesn't need to do as much for you, because in the old spirit of being an American citizen, kind of help yourself a little bit. If you are in a district where you have less capacity based on property and based on income, and you know, we think the state has an obligation to do more for you. Now, what we have seen is a distortion of that philosophy, where we have seen money taken from districts that have less capacity and given to districts that have more capacity. Now, I saw some stories the other day that somebody sent me, because you know I don't spend a lot of time reading newspapers, and somebody said, well, one of these districts in Franklin County was going to have a 42% cut in state aid. Okay? Technically, that's correct. But that approximates to a 1% total cut in their total budget. Now, we have, at the current time, caps and guarantees. We're capping people who have been promised that they should get more based on their needs. And we are guaranteeing people who should get less so that the printout looks good. So if somebody can come up with a better system, when I have to do a formula that affects the entire state, now I'm not a legislator that have to worry about my district. I am a governor that has to worry about the most effective way to distribute resources across this state to school districts to help school kids. My understanding, perhaps I could be corrected by somebody, but we actually have school districts that have had a significant loss of students that get aid based on the fact that they didn't lose anybody. In that case, we're funding buildings, not kids. Now, this is a thorny and tricky situation for legislators. I understand that. But I think for the good of Ohio, we've got to think about providing the resources to the places where they're most needed. And the formula, you know, somebody said to me, did you ever look at the winners and losers? Well, of course I haven't looked at the winners and losers. Why would I do that? What, am I supposed to pick them on the basis of who I like? And we've had some superintendents, by the way, who I think in their comments have been irresponsible. And that is a frustrating thing for me. We need more superintendents who are educators and less superintendents who are politicians. So I want you to understand our basic philosophy. Is our formula carved in stone? No. I mean, if you want to make some changes to it, because with 1,618 school districts, there will be anomalies. But the fundamental principle is in place. And that's the way I think we should fund our schools. And hold them accountable for how they do. So,
one last question.